welcome to my channel, Among Stouts. If you are new here, my name is Samantha and I am a new homeschooling mom of 4 kiddos. And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about some of the doubts that I've had as a homeschooling mom and some of the doubts that I had before my husband and I made the decision to finally pull our kids out of public school and decided to homeschool. So if you guys like these kinds of videos, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So number one, first and foremost, I want to preface this by saying I do have a background in education. But even still, as a mom who has worked in public schools, I still had this doubt, and it is one that still goes through my mind today, and that is, am I qualified to teach my kids? And it's so interesting, guys, because we as mamas, we do a lot in the early years when it comes to teaching our kids, from the basics of teaching them their letters, their colors, the alphabet, nursery rhyme songs, potty training them, teaching them to walk, teaching them to run. All of these things that our kids do before they get to the age of 5 are things that are learned behaviors or learned information that we as their parents have taught them or that have helped them learn. So I don't know why I question my ability and my qualifications when it comes to teaching my kids, but I do. I think it comes down to the fear of what if I mess up? Because for some reason I think that, when you first have your kids, it's just normal to send your kids to public school at the age of 5 or 6, depending on where their birthday falls, or even earlier if you are sending your kids to preschool. And so that just leaves so much doubt in our minds as parents on doubting our own ability and our own knowledge on whether or not we can teach our kids. If we have knowledge, we can teach our kids. I wanted to start by saying that I am qualified to teach because for some reason in my mind, I know that I have this background in education that I went to school for, and I've worked with kids, and somehow I feel qualified to do that. But yet in my own mind, I was doubting my ability and with those same qualifications to teach my own kids. And so I don't know why I did that, but I do also want you to know that even without that same background that I have, or maybe another friend that you have who is a qualified public school teacher or private school teacher, it's not their education background or qualifications that make them qualified to teach kids. It's the knowledge that they have and that they are able to then pass on, because at the end of the day, they use curriculum to aid them in teaching the same way that we as parents and homeschoolers use curriculum to teach our kids. So that was my first doubt. So doubt number 2, and this is a big one for me because this one every morning I am praying to God to help me here. And this doubt was, am I patient enough to have my kids home and be responsible for their education? Going back to when I was young, my mom always told me this: patience is a virtue. I am not a patient person. My mom can tell you this, my sisters can tell you this, my husband can tell you this, and guys, my kids can tell you this. I am not a patient person. But what I am good at is praying to God and saying, and waking up every morning and praying to Him and saying, God, please give me the patience for today. And it is a daily struggle and a daily prayer, because I know it is something that I need in order to get through every single day. And so guys, that's just one of the other things that I found a little ironic for myself, is that I didn't think that I could have the patience to teach my own kids, but yet somehow had enough patience to go to the school and teach other people's kids. And honestly, when my kids, the last half school year that my kids are in public school, I missed them so much. I hated sending them off to school, and I was always so excited to go to the bus stop and pick them up and have them home with me and my then baby. He's 2 now. He was 1. And so with how much I missed my kids, I just knew that homeschooling, regardless of this doubt of my patience and my own attitude, honestly, was something that I didn't need to let stop me from at least trying, because having my kids home to me felt more important than the struggle of wondering about my patience. And like I said, guys, I pray for patience every single day, and God is so good. There are some mornings that are harder than others, but I also have some other things that I'm dealing with that can contribute to some of my hard days. But I will say, all in all, it has been the best for me to know that I can pray to God, to have patience, and start my morning off good. I start off with my own devotional, some Bible reading, and I get my mind right first. And then move into homeschooling with a better attitude and an open heart and a willing heart. And so then number 3, and this is a doubt that I didn't have before I started homeschooling. It's one that I had right as I hit send on that email to withdraw my kids from school, and one that I still have today, especially whenever the days are hard. And it's, am I making the right choice? Am I making the right choice to homeschool my kids? Am I making the right choice in their curriculum? Am I making the right choice in our schedule? Am I making the right choice in choosing to do a homeschool community? So it's not even just a simple fact of, am I making the right choice? There's all of these things wrapped up into the choice of homeschooling that give me doubts. And it can be really hard, but at the end of the day, if I can sit down and reflect and answer these questions on paper, or even revert back to my list of whys, I always come down to yes. I am making the right choice in choosing to homeschool them. I'm making the right choice in choosing to be a part of a classical conversations community. I'm making the right choice so far in their curriculum, but I'm making the right choice in it being open-minded as well. I'm open-minded to things that may not be working and willing to make those changes. And so we are actually almost into 6 weeks of our homeschool year, and we have made changes. And I know that throughout this first school year of ours, we are going to continue making changes and adjustments and making it right for our home, for my kids, and for myself. The 4th doubt, and this is the big one. This is something that I doubted, and something that is, people ask this question so often that it still makes me doubt myself and my kids and our choice. And this is, what about socialization? And so the number one question that I get asked is, what about socialization? And so because I get asked this, and I have gotten asked this so many times, it became a doubt. Like, what about socialization? And so because of this, honestly, this played a huge part in the decision that my husband and I made for deciding to go ahead with the classical conversations and the community. Because honestly, we weren't really looking into a community, but then the doubts for myself and even for my husband, because of the socialization question came up. But I will say, if you are not a part of a community, I am becoming more confident in myself and my children to make connections with people on a daily basis. It's a little bit harder right now because of all of the things going on with the world, and for us, especially with the restrictions and the mask mandates, we don't take our kids out that often to places that require masks. That is a personal decision that we have made. And so our Fridays at our community day for classical conversations have been hugely important to for my kids, and making other friends and meeting new kids and being able to socialize in that way. But because of all of that and choosing to not put masks on my kids, again, personal decision. I don't judge anyone's decision on whether you do or don't. My husband and I are perfectly fine wearing our masks when we go out, but we have just made the choice as a family that we don't take our kids anywhere where it's required of them. And so because of that, they aren't getting their normal interactions if we were to go to certain places where they would interact with other people. However, before all of the restrictions and things, that is something that I had planned on. doing lots of field trips, lots of grocery store trips. I mean, just honestly, your day-to-day interactions when you're outside of your house is socialization. You don't need a public school to have your kids socialize. And so I think for me, my confidence around that is because after working in a public school, I mean, a teacher will tell you, teacher will say to the kids, and I remember even as a kid being told, school time is not it's not socialization hour. You got to do your work. So literally, like, the only time that kids are truly socializing in school is recess, lunch, and breaks. And when you think about it, they're also in a box of socializing with only their peers in their classroom. Whereas when you're homeschooling, you have the opportunity to socialize, your kids have the opportunity to socialize with adults and kids of a higher age or younger age. They have the opportunity to socialize with a diversity of age ranges and people. So I personally have grown confident in the fact that I feel as though as homeschool kids, my kids are socializing more than ever before, especially because my kids are still in extracurriculars. My girls do dance. One of my daughters is at dance twice a week. My other daughter is at dance once a week, but for more than 2 hours. And then my son, he does golf. And so there are ways to still have your kids socialize while being homeschoolers. So if that's a doubt that you have, don't fret on it too much. Don't let it be one of the doubts that holds you down, because honestly, there are so many ways to socialize your kids and so many more opportunities to have them socialize as homeschoolers. Okay, number 5, and this is a big one, especially whenever you're doing all of the research, is how do I fit in all of the things? Social media can really increase the doubts that you have in your own ability to homeschool your kids, because whenever you see all of the things that people add in, whether it's nature studies, nature walks, nature journaling, I think those all go together. I don't know because we don't do it. Music in your homeschool, all of the field trips, the poetry tea times, the art, honestly, the list is endless of all of the things that you can see people have in their homeschool day. And so that was something that was a doubt for me, is 1, how do I fit this all in? And 2, a lot of that stuff I don't like and I don't want to do. So how do I make myself like it and want to do it? And that is actually another one of my doubts, is I don't love doing nature art and I'm not musical. So with these two things of how do you add in all of the things, and then what if you don't love all of those things, can put doubts in your mind. And I just want to say, like, with homeschooling, you can homeschool your way, homeschool in the manner that fits you, your kids, and your family. And so, like I said, a lot of that stuff we don't do. When I look on social media and I see other people doing it, or I watch videos here on YouTube and I see people doing it, it looks really fun. And then, like, those doubts, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing this. Like, what, like, maybe I need to be doing this, but how do I add it into what we're already doing? And then I just have to sit back and think, that works for them and their homeschool. That's what they're good at. That's what they're interested in. Or maybe even that's what their kids are interested in. My kids do love being outside, and they do love going and finding all of the things that nature has to offer, but they don't necessarily need me out there to do it. And that's something that they can do on their recess time. So my kids have the ability to go outside and seek and find and do all of the things that they want to do on their own time. And I don't think that it necessarily needs to be a part of our homeschool curriculum in order for them to do it. And I'm perfectly fine with that. As far as the other things, I am not, I'm not musical, and only one of my kids currently has an interest in learning an instrument. And so I'm pretty sure there's other ways through lessons or, some sort of independent program that I can get for him to learn that without actually needing to also add that into our homeschool day for all of my kids when all of them are not interested in it. And so then, like the poetry tea times and the composer studies and the artist days and all of these other things, there will come a time to where we might, go through it just a little bit, read books on it. But that's something else that I don't think that we need to commit a whole time slot in our homeschool day to accomplish. And that's just me. Again, do the things that you like to do or that your kids are interested in, how you see fit. And that's the confidence that I've gotten in not worrying about that doubt as much. But this is one that I had going into it, because before I made the decision to homeschool, watching all of these videos about what people do in a homeschool day, what their schedules look like, it can be really overwhelming whenever you see all of these things that people do. But not all of these people or bloggers, YouTubers, or whoever you're talking to do all of these things at once. I've noticed like some people do this, some people do that. And so sometimes when you're just starting out, you think that you need to do all of the things that all of them are doing. And that's just not the case. You just got to do what fits and what's right for your homeschool. Okay, and so then that takes me into the next one. And that is the curriculum that I'm using enough? And this is a doubt that I get because, like I said, we are brand new to homeschooling, and I'm used to that public school method and model of what they, of how they teach and what they teach and all of the homework and the schoolwork. And so knowing what my kids have done in school, you get the email of like the daily or the weekly wrap up of what all they did and then what all was sent home for homework. I seriously, and this is one that I'm still trying to work on, is like I still struggle with, are we doing enough? Is this curriculum enough? Are my kids getting in everything that they need to do at their grade level? And so I think that this is one that can tend to be a little bit harder for moms who have had kids in public school versus moms who are making the decision to homeschool from the start. Just because especially for me, my oldest did public school from kindergarten all the way to halfway through 4th grade. So that's 5 years of public school that I was used to and that he was used to. And so we're just really having to unlearn a lot of the public school ways and busy work things that they do. And for me, currently right now, I know that I have busy work in my homeschool, but that's because I am not confident yet in that our core curriculum is enough. I hope to get there, and like I said, it's something that I am working on, because I know it's a hindrance in our homeschool right now. And so thankfully, the busy work that we have, my kids don't mind doing it, but I hope to, over time, hopefully by the end of this school year, get my brain rewired in the fact that in homeschool, we don't necessarily need the busy work, or at least not so much of it. So because whatever curriculum you are choosing for your kids, if you're buying the right level and it's challenging, it is enough. Whether they are in public school and doing all of the things, or they're at homeschool and doing, the core, and reading other books, like there's going to be gaps no matter what curriculum you choose, and no matter whether you homeschool or you public school, there will be gaps. And so I think that knowing that is helping me build my confidence in knowing that whatever curriculum choice I make, it is enough for my kids right now where they're at. And so the next one is, am I actually preparing my kids properly for their future? And this is a doozy. This is a doubt that I think is going to stick with me until my kids have graduated and gone on to the next phase, whether that be college or the workforce, until I know that my kids are prepared for, and until I know that I did prepare my kids for their futures, I think that I'm going to have this doubt. And I mean, honestly, I had this doubt even as a public school mom is, did we choose the right school district for our kids? Are they in the right school to, be able to be what they want to be? And so I think the only way that I am able to ease my mind on this one is knowing that I'm doing the best I can in teaching them what I know that they need to know and what they want to know. And number one important thing is I'm teaching them how to learn. If you can teach your kids how to learn, they can learn anything and they will be prepared for the future. And so I think that as long as you're doing what you can to help your kids learn the information that they need or want to know, then you're preparing them for what comes after they leave your home and they move on to, again, either college or the workforce. Okay, and the last one is I wish I had, I wish I could, or I should. And this is a doubt that pops up into my head anytime I'm on social media or I'm talking to another homeschooling mom and I see what they have, what they do, or how they implement things, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had this. Oh man, I should have done this, or man, we should do this, or I wish I could. So wishing and hoping on all of the things that are not feasible wherever you're at right now is just going to continue to make you have further doubts. So for me, it's really important that I always remember that whatever we are doing in our homeschool right now is because it's working for us. And if it's not working, I know that I am willing to make changes and adjustments to make it work for me, for my kids, or for our home. And that's all that we can do. We can't sit here and continuously wish and wish and wish or ponder on what we should do, whether that be in the future or wishing we should do something when we don't have the means. None of that stuff is going to be beneficial in helping us where we're at right now. So always remembering that where I'm at now is what's important. That keeps my mind focused on what we are currently doing versus letting my mind wander into these alternate realities of things that could be or could have been but aren't. So I think it's just always really important to remember that you don't need to do all of the things. You don't need to have all of the things. And just making what you have and what you do work for you where you're at. Okay, guys, there you have it. Those are my doubts in my ability to homeschool. As you can see, there are quite a bit of doubts. That's not even all of them, but I only wanted to go through a few of them with you because these are some of the doubts that I've had or that I currently am working through that I know that I am either A, working on and trying to build confidence, or I've already built up my confidence from those doubts. Some of the other doubts that I have that I don't have a response for, I don't want to lead you into that and making you have further doubts on yourself. So I hope that if you are having some of these doubts, I hope that the ways that I am building up my confidence or have built my confidence with these doubts are also helpful for you. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you guys here as a part of my community. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.